Well, leave it to a Maga Trump supporting pastor to say Christians can make Jesus smile by joining ICE. Here it is.
Yep, you can't be a vigilante, but you literally can join ICE and be God's appointed avenger, right? Who seeks to carry out God's vengeance on the evildoer. Immigration is evil. So to join the proper mechanism through ICE and to become, in that sense, God's appointed deacon to carry out vengeance on the evildoer who is devouring the inheritance of the children, that is a righteous thing. You can join ICE today and make Jesus smile as you, with a gun, pack foreigners into the back of a van.
You know, Jesus isn't from America, sir. He's a foreigner. Put it up full man. Yeah. That was Joel Webbon, the head pastor of Covenant Bible Church in Austin, Texas. He doesn't like foreigners, but he proclaims to worship one named Yahshua, who happens to be a man of color. There are a lot of things ICE is doing that wouldn't make Jesus smile. Randall Alberto Gambio Escovel's family alleges negligence and inhumane treatment. He was jailed by U.S. immigration authorities in February before being deported in a vegetative state, ladies and gentlemen. This was in September. His family is now speaking out. A spokesperson for Donald Trump's administration, which has aimed to deport as many people as possible from the U.S. since his second presidency started, maintained in a statement that the medical treatment that he received before his death was better than many immigrants have received in their entire lives. You know, that was a similar argument that racist, bigot, slave owners would make about the condition of their enslaved captives. The living quarters are actually better than where we got them from. Gambia, 52, initially was held at Texas Webb County Detention Center before being transferred to another facility in the state in Port Isabel. His family said to El Pius that he called them daily until he seemingly disappeared without immediate explanation in June. This happens often. Eventually, quote, someone at the detention center said he had a health issue and that's why he wasn't answering us. Gambo's sister, Grady Mata, told El Pius. But they didn't give us any more information. His family described, Gambo's family described not being able to find him until August after they were scammed by two attorneys and then actually located him with the help of a third lawyer. By then, he was bedridden in a vegetative state, and his family's attorney began the process of having him sent to Costa Rica. An air ambulance paid for by ICE flew Gambo to Costa Rica on the 3rd of September. Stricken with the disease, it's a muscle ailment and the inability to eat on his own. He was admitted to an emergency room in the Costa Rican hospital or capital, San Jose, and then being transferred to a hospital in his hometown. He then died in that hospital on the 26th of October. That's just one story. I have another one. Chicago. A child care worker was detained by ICE officers inside of a Chicago daycare. Quote, I have papers. A child care worker shouted in Spanish at immigration and customs enforcement officers during an arrest Wednesday morning at a Spanish immersion daycare in Chicago. Video capturing a portion of the arrest, which reportedly took place in front of children, shows two ICE agents aggressively detaining the worker inside Rairo Day Soul Spanish Immersion Learning Center on Chicago's north side about 7 a.m. The agents pull her outside the center and push her against a gray sedan while she shouts. Then one of the agents heads back inside. It's unclear whether ICE had a warrant, which is required for agents to enter a private establishment known as a daycare. According to local news, an SUV of federal agents followed the teacher's car to the daycare and ran inside the building after her. CBS News Chicago confirmed with the director of the center that the worker detained was a pre-K teacher. As of this year, child care centers are also no longer off limits for ICE raids. The centers were previously protected under what's called a sensitive locations directive that advised ICE to not conduct enforcement in places like schools and daycares. But President Donald Trump removed that protection on his first day in office. They can go inside of churches, synagogues, et cetera now, by the way. And Carlos Jimenez, a U.S. citizen, says he was shot in the back after attempting to warn ICE agents that children would soon be in the area. So according to the Los Angeles Times, on Friday, this man, a U.S. citizen, a father of three, was charged in federal court with assault on a federal officer before he was released on bond. The charge stems from a Thursday morning incident in which he was leaving his home in Ontario to work at a food bank and decided to pull up and have words with federal agents who were conducting a stop. Attorneys for Mr. Carlos Jimenez and the Department of Homeland Security are telling two different stories. So Cynthia Santiago, who's the attorney, said her client was simply trying to warn agents that school-aged children would soon gather in the area where they were conducting operations to take the bus. He was telling them, excuse me, can you guys please wrap this up? And immediately the agents who are in masks, they pull out their gun and they exchange words. Santiago said, quote, he's in fear and he's trying to get out of the situation. She continued, the agents and their cars had blocked one southern lane on Vineyard Avenue and jutted into a second. He had to reverse to get away, said Robert Simon, another lawyer for the defendant. Quote, then there was a shot from the side back passenger window to the car, Santiago said. Quote, use of deadly force is to be used as last resort. Coming out to communities with guns undrawn is the opposite. And at some point, you all are going to have, and I'm talking about local PD, local police departments, you have the authority to arrest federal agents. It's been upheld. From Red Dog Police to Georgia State Troopers. That's illegal. It's against the law. Those are your citizens. You're there to protect and serve. You have to understand, they are acting in this manner because they're not afraid of local pushback. They don't give a damn about political fallout. They're getting $50,000 bonuses, not qualified to do the job, wearing a mask. So there's this anonymity. They can't be trained properly to have such high-level responsibility. And according to the allegation, well, that's attempted murder. But according to the bigoted Maga pastor, this is going to make Jesus smile. Well, if Jesus is the term you use for Satan, that would be accurate, yes. But the Yahshua I know was a radical social and political leader who went to the house of Simon the leper. Anyone who had that, they were cast out of society. The priest, the Pharisee, the Sadducee wouldn't touch them. He was at their home. That made him smile. Dear brother, thoughts here.
What came to mind is the difference between Constantinian Christianity and prophetic Christianity. And the former being maybe a little bit more in tune with aligning with power as much as they possibly can. And this preacher, I think, is doing that. I think he's a charlatan and he's manipulating a text that is considered sacred by countless people all over the world in order to increase his own power. And it is nothing like what Jesus taught. And the alternative to that is a kind of prophetic Christianity, which attempts to kind of usurp these power structures and kind of break them apart. And I think we could do with a little bit more of that in America these days, because this is just getting insane.